What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot List. I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Realty, and in the Hot List, we talk real estate. We talk real estate questions, topics, maybe even some current concerns that you have. And of course, I answer a question of the day that is submitted by a listener of the podcast. If you have a question about real estate, maybe some type of real estate topic, you're not sure where to start, I would love to be the real estate resource that you reach out to and start with, because by answering your question, not only are you going to get that question answered, I'm going to potentially gain some knowledge and use it for future episodes just like this one. Because if you have that question, the chance that somebody else has that question is extremely high, and maybe they don't know where to start themselves. So by you shooting that question over to me, it allows me the opportunity to get that question answered and then use it for episodes just like this one. Uh, if you are new to the Hot List, I come to you live at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, here on Facebook. From there, the podcast is uploaded to YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, as well as Amazon Music. And through one of those, you can subscribe, and as new episodes become available, you're going to get those downloaded in your podcast player of choice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, as well as leave me a review. It really helps me out, gets me in front of more people, and allows me to help that many more people getting their questions answered. So recently, we have been talking about updates, remodels, maybe some type of decorating or redesign. And the question of the day today: how to hire an interior designer. You know, we've mentioned more than once over the last few weeks about hiring an interior designer. And while most of us don't think of that, when we think of hiring professionals, we think of contractors, roofers, plumbers, electricians. I mean, the list goes on and on. Interior designers may not necessarily cross your mind, and that's pretty normal, not being in the real estate world. And I've seen, as well as worked with, a couple of interior designers that can take homes to next level design that you just would not believe and would just absolutely be blown away by. Now, interior designers are not the same as a decorator. Designers arrange decorations, and they do so in a way that completely revitalizes and redesigns the look of a home's interior. And they typically have refined artistic sensibilities, a sense of creativity, and they really put those to work for you, and the end result is creating a home that leaves your guests speechless upon first glance and first entry. So, talking about today how to hire an interior designer, we're going to get into 3 considerations when hiring an interior designer. Number 1, do you need an interior designer? As usual, we're going to start with the basics, because I'm sure, like most people, when you think interior designer, you think that's simple enough. That's something that I can do. I can save the money, and I don't actually need to hire somebody to get the job done. Let me ask you this. How happy are you with that end result? Are you truly 10 out of 10 happy and satisfied with the work that's been completed and that it's done? Be honest. If you're anything less than an 8 with the end result, maybe you would be happier by bringing in somebody that could partner with you on the project. The reality is the end result for most homeowners is they are not 100% happy with the way the home looks. They assumed it was going to be easy, not take so much time, and they have this picture in their mind, and by the time everything is over and done with, the end result is not what they pictured, and oftentimes it is less than 100% of what they expected, plus they are over budget on what they expected to be a DIY project. And many times interior designers can help avoid this outcome while staying under budget or on budget. That's what they do. A good interior designer is already going to have some experience with tying different rooms of the house together, or maybe even the entire house. And by tying different rooms together, they're going to have an idea of what the actual cost is going to be versus you just kind of winging it and shooting from the hip. And this can result in a much better end project while still keeping in line with your budget. As an added bonus, interior designers may have ideas or recommendations that maybe you didn't consider and could result with the interior being way better than you imagined, because you're hiring somebody for their style, their design, their artistic and creativity abilities. If you don't have any of that, wouldn't it be better or more beneficial to hire somebody that does? And it's no different than hiring a roofer or a contractor. Number 2 on the list, questions to ask. When starting this process, there's going to be a number of questions that you need to ask, if nothing else, to make sure that you and the designer are a good fit to work with each other. Some of the questions may relate to, the project and the job at hand, such as, if your home has some unique features or unusual colors, or maybe, you have some type of material in the house that's difficult to work with. You need to know if the designer has any experience with these types of materials and dealing with these types of potential issues and had success with that. There are a number of other questions that need to be asked and you need to know. For example, you need to know how they prefer to work. Do they work better alone, pacing? Do they work better with pictures, with videos, sketchpad? What is important to their creative process? They have a process that they go through, and while they may explain it to you, they may not want you to be heavily involved at first outside of that, the first couple meetings. Also need to make sure that you ask questions about their style, because each designer is going to have a different style, and you need to make sure that that is in line with the end result and end project that you have in mind, because maybe they want to tie specific elements to incorporate with it, and that may not be something that you see in your house or might be a turn on to you. That may just go the opposite direction. And then you need to dive a little bit deeper with them and find out what has been some of their most challenging jobs and projects, as well as what's been their most rewarding. And then you absolutely have to ask, what problems or issues have you run into with projects before, and how did you remedy these? By asking these in-depth questions, what you're really looking for is to get a feel for what they look for in projects. This is going to help gain a better understanding of who you're working with, how they like to work, and how likely they are to match your goals and the desire for your home. And like I mentioned, you've got to make sure that their style is similar to yours or on par with yours, because you don't want something wild and crazy as an end result and then have to pay to redo it all. And finally, number 3 on the list, how do I find an interior designer? By asking all of these questions, it's going to help you sort through options of designers, and you're going to find the best interior designer that is a fit for you, your home, as well as your budget. Also, I just want to add, don't necessarily commit to the first designer that you meet with or that you run into. You need to find an interior designer that understands your personal style and personality. You also want to make sure that they're going to approach it like you would want for your home. And this is going to go a long way and make a huge difference for the overall end result. So now that we've covered all the hard stuff, excuse me, where do you begin your search for an interior designer? Do you just throw something on your Facebook page asking? Do you go to Google? You know, those are great options to start with. And how do you know who to trust? You know, Google's going to be a great place that you can start. I mean, you can absolutely ask for recommendations on Facebook if you're in any buy sell groups or trade groups. You can ask in there, and once you get some names, again, don't commit to the first person. You know, get some references. Look them up on Facebook or Google. Talk to friends, family, maybe some coworkers that may have had some work like that done in the past. By looking through Facebook, you're going to see past projects. If they don't have a page or a group that they can send you to see some of their past projects, do you really want to work with that person if they can't show you past projects and past work that they've done? That could be a red flag. Also, if they are truly a professional, look them up on LinkedIn. See what they have, because we all know what Facebook is, what Instagram is. It shows that part. But LinkedIn is going to be more of the professional side. If they truly do this for a living, they're going to have a presence on social media, not just Facebook. They may have something on Instagram, YouTube videos. See if they have, you know, how-to videos or tutorials, or maybe just free tips that they have on a YouTube page. If they do this for a living, they should have an incredible social media presence, as well as some quick videos of tips or how-to. And if nothing else, if you're not sure where to start, please feel free to contact me, because as many of you know, I do have a 5-star vendor list. It's a running list. It is an active list that I keep. These are vendors that have done work for me personally, have done work for past clients, and provide that 5-star service and come highly recommended, not just from me, but from other people as well. These are people that show up. They're reliable. They do what they say they're going to do, and I'm happy to share that. It is a live and active list. It's always being updated with adding people, maybe even removing some other people as well. So if you're not sure where to start, by all means, please feel free to reach out to me. That's a list that I offer for free. All you have to do is contact me. So I hope that answers your question of the day as far as how to hire interior designer. The top 3 is, number 1 is just figure out if you truly need a desire. If you are not that creative person, I'll be honest, I am not that creative person. My wife and my daughter, they are very creative. I am not that person. I just, if they have an idea, we we run with it. I'm not that person. But you have to approach this with the end result in mind. Are you truly happy? The last project you did yourself, are you truly happy with it, or could it have ended up a little better? Statistically, most homeowners are not happy with the way it looks when they do it themselves, and maybe it's time to bring in and have a consultation with an interior designer and just sit down with them, see their creativity, what options or ideas they have, and get some ideas. Because more often than not, they're going to bring ideas and recommendations that you haven't considered, and the end result could be way better than you ever imagined the inside of your home could look. Number two, questions to ask. You need to ask, I mean, dive deep with these questions. Don't just ask surface questions of, how long you've been doing this? Do you like what you do? You need to ask them how they prefer to work. What is their creative process like? What's been your most challenging project? What's been your most rewarding project? By asking these, you're going to dive a little bit deeper, know if this interior designer is a good fit for you, because you're going to invite them into your home. You don't want to butt heads with them. You want the creativity and you want everything to flow very well. And finally, number three, finding an interior designer. You can look on Facebook, YouTube, Yellow Pages, if you're old enough to know what that is, or Google. Ultimately, if you get some names, look them up on Facebook. Check out their social media presence. If they are a professional interior designer, they're going to not just have Facebook, they're going to have an Instagram account, a YouTube account to show how-to videos, as well as tips and tutorials, as well as LinkedIn. If nothing else, if you're not able to find one, please feel free to contact me, because I do have a 5-star vendor list that is a live and active list that's continuing. I can't even say the word. I continue to update this list for new vendors, as well as remove vendors that no longer provide that 5-star service like they once did. So if you're curious about the list, please feel free to contact me. Let me know what you're looking for. I'm happy to share those names with you. And that is a free service that I offer, and just a way for me to give back and help you and your home stand as tall as possible. So thank you guys so much for tuning in again to the Hot List. I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.